Stone Astrology. My name is Jessie. This is your Astro check-in from the 28th of December until the 31st. We're going to get into a few of the energies. Some there are repeating themes that are happening, but some interesting transits happening over the next few days. And then from the 1st of January, I'm going to do a snapshot of the 1st of January, looking at that astro photograph and what it can gift us in terms of information for the year ahead of 2023. So the transits we're going to be getting into today really is carrying on a lot of the themes that I've been sharing around Chiron, wound healing, unconditional love, boundaries. So if those themes have been resonating with you, then these themes and this potential that there is to find healing in connection with self-identity here with the sun on the 28th, and really Chiron being the key player as we move through the last few days of the year. The sun trines Uranus on the 29th, comes out of its square with Jupiter on the 30th, and at the same time the moon conjuncts Chiron on the 31st, the moon squaring Mercury and Venus. And so I really sense that with the sun going into a trine with Uranus on this closing towards the year, well, it's really it's a positive thing for all of us, regardless if you've got Uranus conflicted in your chart or if you have any hard aspects to Uranus. And using sidereal or tropical astrology is not going to make a big difference. It doesn't even make a difference, really. It might be to a degree or two, depending on the system that you use. But remember, within sidereal astrology, it's not the aspects that change. It's just the signs. The signs move back around 22 degrees. So if you're more affiliated with tropical astrology and you know that your Uranus is in opposition, has squared or in a conjunction, and you get challenging, you have challenging Uranus traits, or you've externalized that and Uranus shows up through mirrors and people and challenges you in this lifetime, then these last few days, you can use this sun trine Uranus to actually bring a sense of clarity, illumination, kind of almost revelational thinking or revelational understanding to any Uranus themes that have been coming up for you. And just in general, as a collective message, even if your Uranus is not conflicted or has any hard aspects, was challenged, in general, I said this before, Uranus is in it's in a fiery and explosive place in Aries. Uranus is naturally an unpredictable, it can be revelational, but it can also be explosive. So it's really it's one of those planets I said, you just got to keep it on your good side, and you can go with the liberation and you can allow it to free you or get you to see things from a different way, or what it can trigger, or kind of how it manifests in our lives, depending on our codes within ourselves and our emotions, or as external experiences. It can feel disruptive, and it just becomes a choice of how we're able to kind of flip the way we see things. So whatever themes that have been coming up, Uranus themes in connection with Aries, conjunct the North Node, it's been there this year, in connection with identity, with self-identity. And I shared this before in the last video, but definitely, within social themes and gender systems and, society becoming more aware and opening up with understanding that we are evolving and it's not she and he is not just, we don't need to be so gender segregated. There's a new way and a new wave of understanding and approaching gender that's being accepted and being seen and being valued, which is so important. And that's such a Uranus conjunct the North Node in Aries. Gender systems I see as a big example of how this is manifesting in our society. in an amazing way that Uranus can come in and liberate and can create freedom. So whether you've been kind of more in tune with that, or something that's affected you personally, you've been experiencing that within your own life or within social groups or within you know, understanding your gender and being accepted and feeling all of these things, this is, you know, this Sun trine Jupiter, Sun trine Uranus is a supportive aspect for that. This may be coming up for others, regardless, he, she, they, regardless on your gender, just your identity. You know, what's your identity within your relationships? Remember that Aries, Libra is on the relationship aspects axis, and it's not just your relationship in romantic relationships. What is your identity within the workplace, within your social groups, with your family members? You know, all these sorts of challenges we may be have experiencing at different times as a collective in connection with our identity and with this rebirthing of ourselves. Ultimately, you know, Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. It represents birth. It represents the child. It represents you know, impulsivity, but also new beginnings. There is just this sense, especially with the North Node there, that as a collective, we've been given this opportunity to rebirth ourselves, rebirth our identity in some way. And I sense with Chiron there in the last sign of the zodiac, it's almost been a big spiritual, potentially a spiritual transformation for those that have tapped into that. So with this Sun trining Uranus at the final few days of the year, some big revelations may come up or definitely available for you within anything connected with those themes. And it is squaring Chiron, so it's directly triggering the wounds that I've been sharing about in connection with Chiron in Pisces. Boundaries, unconditional love. You know, Pisces is very sensitive, very psychic. There can be a lack of structure, can get insecure. So any sort of water themes that come up for you, it can get into victim mode. It can also get into martyr mode. It can get into self-sacrifice. So there are a whole host of Chiron in Pisces themes, and anyone who's interested in me just doing a video just on Chiron in Pisces, if any of this is resonating, post in the comments. I'd be interested to hear, because, you know, it's going to be there for another few years. I'd have to give you the exact, but I'd say for another 2.5 years. It spends roughly 4 years in each sign. So there's definitely this collective theme of wound healing moving through Pisces, and it will be showing up for us all in different ways, obviously depending on the house, but also depending, you know, if you have a lot of Piscean energy, or if you have planets in Pisces, or Pisces in some way accented in your chart. Jupiter's gonna the Sun's coming out of Jupiter, so any lessons around excess, any lessons around, again, boundaries, Jupiter being in Pisces. So go back to the video that I shared just before the new moon, and I talked about those themes in connection with the Sun square in Jupiter. So, and actually on the new moon video, just in general as a theme. And remember, with the new moon, and watch the video if you're interested, that is the snapshot for the whole moon cycle. Okay, so even though the planets are moving and continuing their aspects, there is still that snapshot. So even though the Sun is moving out of the square with Jupiter in this moon cycle, there is just in general a theme around lessons and excess, boundaries, and definitely go and check that video for more detail on that Sun square Jupiter as an undercurrent to this moon cycle, although it is coming out of the square on the 30th. So it's almost like you will have learned the lesson, whatever you needed to go through in your reality and manifesting in terms of emotions coming up, insights or external experiences. And then this is what you carry through as part of your soul's evolution and soul's learning and understanding through the moon cycle. Remember, the moon ruling and governing the soul. So at the same time, on the 30th, the moon comes into its first square with the sun, conjuncting Chiron. Mother wounds, you know, the moon is the archetype of the divine feminine, however that falls for you. Again, this may be an interesting time for those that, you know, with transgender or he, she, they, any gender wounds around your feminine energy, or have feeling, or you felt ostracized by society, or there has been some form of healing. Maybe you're a pioneer, I don't know really the words to use, but you're an activist, or you're someone who is part of that movement that is creating change, and actually you have some insight into to heal these collective wounds. You experience them, you share them. You know, remember with the moon squaring the sun, it's also the first obstacle where challenges can come up in the moon cycle, so that, you know, if you are directly affected by any social gender themes, this might be a day where you get triggered, or you have a specific experience, but ultimately those challenges are there to help us understand things at a deeper level. And also, you know, remember when I say maybe a challenge, this is not preempting anything. Remember the aspects and these Astro Codes that we're working with, they show up differently for everyone. So it's just to be aware of the energies, and if it comes through, you can go, okay, and you understand it a bit more. But generally, squares, with the first squares with the moon to the sun, it's not usually like a big thing, but it can be a challenge between wants and needs. It can show up as someone challenging you, someone, in this case, it could be divine masculine, and you might be the divine masculine or divine feminine, or that part of your energy feels wounded, or does some healing, or gets clarity on what needs to be healed, or just anything in connection with wound healing and the divine feminine. So you could be showing up as these players, or these will be players showing up in your life. You could be the one that's activating that trigger, or you might be the one receiving it. Potentially mother wounds or old programs in connection with the mother bond or the subconscious. Remember, the moon represents also our mother. But just being aware of any heightened sensitivity, heightened emotions on the 30th, and any revelations that are coming to you, just allow them to just be absorbed with kindness. You know, in Pisces there, just allow them to be absorbed with love, and try not to let any tension that you feel or potentially feel that day overwhelm you. You know, the moon in Pisces conjunct Chiron can get very overwhelmed, over emotional, oversensitive. For some of you, this could be a very psychic time. You might get karmic downloads. You might get collective downloads. For some that are, you know, I'd say for those of you that are very psychically aware or very tapped into the collective themes, this will be a good day to use Smokey Quartz, or any dendritic stones. So dendritic stones are when they have, well, actually, Rhodonite does have dendritic formations. It's these roots. Get it with moss agate as well. And Rhodonite is the stone of Chiron. It's chain silicate. It speeds up wound healing. On the 30th of December, and actually towards the last few days of the year, I was going to suggest to use Rhodonite if you are working with any of these Chiron related themes. But just for those that are highly psychic or highly attuned and feel like you're getting like information that is not yours, remember the moon is highly sensitive, and Pisces can be boundaryless. It's accented with Jupiter there and Neptune. Do check out my videos that I shared on those archetypes. So Pisces is strong in the cosmos right now, with both of its old day and its modern day rulers in their own sign. So with the moon there and Chiron coming to those last final days of the year, this, for those that are find it easy to go up, just making sure that you're putting your roots in the ground. And for those that have been working with any big healing themes, this will be a really powerful night to sleep with your rhodonite, allow it to work with your field for 8 hours uninterrupted. You know, it's great to wear the stones out daily in contact with the skin, but remember, with the dream world, and when the stones work with us when we're sleeping, it's actually, they're able to access our deeper waves, you know, working beyond the theta into the gamma waves, our unconscious. And so they're able to work, they're healing and balancing for 8 hours uninterrupted. So use your rhodonite as your dreamstone if any of these themes are resonating with you. Then moving on to the 31st, here the moon then squares Venus and Mercury. I mean, remember, with the moon, as it moves, it does move quickly. So this might just show up. It might not even show up strongly for anyone, but just being aware, I'd say, you know, Venus, the relationship planet, Mercury, communication, the mind, just being aware of any heightened sensitivities towards these last few days of the year. Work with your rhodonite and just tap into and allow the sun, trine Uranus, to bring through the revelations that it needs to bring through, especially if you've been working big themes this year. It's the last final day of the year. Fluorite is got Uranus alchemy power, so meditating with fluorite and working with rhodonite as a dreamstone would be my recommendations. So that is all I have for you for this Astro check-in. I'm going to be doing a video for the 1st of January, giving some overview into the collective themes for the 2023 as we look at January the 1st, the snapshot of our year ahead. So hope to see you for that. Please join me. Please write in the comments. I really appreciate hearing your feedback, and I look forward to seeing you next time.